Hey, it's Tia Carrere, and you're listening to Kino Kingdom with Britt
and Lazlo
and Rupert. Party on, guys.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning into episode 117 of Kino Kingdom. And the first thing I'm going to talk about today is Amazon ads when you're streaming their films. I was watching something on Amazon the other day, probably an amazing film. I think it might have actually been Jackie Chan's Police Story 3 Super Cop, actually. And I didn't realize, I first noticed this with Fallout, but because I'm so not au fait with watching the Savalas, I didn't really click. But I was watching it, and it came to an advert, and I thought it was like a 30-second advert, whatever, and it was for like Febreze or something. And then, it comes up in like you can click on the corner to buy it there and then on Amazon. Like it's kind of a live ad. It was like £15 for a bottle of Febreze. And then another one came up, and it was for these sort of like gel tablets you put in your, and I've got them. I picked them up from like Home Bargains for like £4. It was like £13. And I thought, who is going to buy these? Like, why are these marked up so fiercely on Amazon? Have you noticed that with the adverts you get?
I haven't specifically noticed extortionate prices, but no, I suppose it's like a laziness thing. Like you're watching something and it's like, oh yeah, I do need some cleaning products, and I can't be bothered to go onto another website and find something cheaper, so I'm just going to click on this.
Yeah, I get a lot of adverts for like laundry tablets and stuff as well. I don't know why that's a thing. But like you'd think they'd give you a discount for ramming their advert down your throat in the middle of your film. But no,
really,
it's the other way.
Yeah, because in all fairness, if they said, I don't know, like you say, laundry tablets, and it was like 50% off, and it was like £3.50, and they're normally £7, I would do it. I'd think, oh, okay, like a flash kind of personal ad sale, I'd be all over that. But the fact they just like priced up like 4 times the price, I don't know what you think I'm going to do, apart from look at it and laugh.
I take comfort in the fact that they clearly just, like, you worry that they're spying on your every activity. Clearly, they don't know me at all because I've not bought any of their washing tablets for decades. So yeah, it's fine.
The other thing about Amazon is that they're probably ultimately trying to sell you the subscriptions, because all these like cleaning products and stuff, they will always give the option of like paying monthly and getting like a supply monthly sort of thing. So they probably mark them up, and then you can get like a 50% discount if you pay monthly to get your dishwasher tablets.
Do they still do the Amazon button things? Like you could buy do you remember that? You could buy a button that says like flash on it or whatever, and you put it next to your toilet, and then when you run out of toilet flash, you just press the button and it automatically orders you one off Amazon.
Yeah, I remember that. That's
Who would
nuts.
do that? Yeah. They should at least give you the button for free. I mean, anyway.
And the other thing I wanted to say, we were talking about punctuation in movie titles last time, and we had a few sort of comments in from people saying that, and if you want to email us, by the way, it's the Men Who Talk at Kino Kingdom at protonmail.com, and we were talking about What About Bob, and we've had a few others. Oh brother, where art thou? Which is obviously a question mark. Another question mark. And the same punctuation. Dude, where's my car? Which is probably a worse film than Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Now that I think about it.
A couple of commas in there as well.
Yeah, and I like adaptation with just a full stop. Even though it's a single. It's like, I know that's the end of the sentence because it's like one word and I'm looking at it. There's no more. I can see that. There's no run on. So I do like that. And I don't know if you both know this, but I've been paying someone a bit under the radar from our sponsorship money that is running out now. We desperately need some sponsorship. Email us at kinokingdom at protonmail.com. But I managed to get hold of a guy who calls himself Dickie Lightning. And he's kind of a man on the scene. And he said, if you want me to get in, sort of follow, basically, if I, where he lives, there's a lot of movie stars, and he just sort of follows them and tries to get a bit of a vibe on sort of what they're going to be doing next. So are you both interested in this? I can show you some, this is a clip he sent me from Dickie Lightning on Man on the Scene.
Oh, great.
Hello, fellas. It's your man on the scene, Dickie Lightning. I'm actually in Russia as we speak at an undisclosed location. Walking down the street, and I'm actually following Russian envoy Steven Seagal. He's talking to producing out here in Russia. I'm actually undercover, you see. I've got me Kino Kingdom t-shirt covered up by a Games Freezer hoodie, so no one will know who I am. Here, darted into a building, and I can see through the window, and I've got an high-powered telescope. Luckily, I was a sniper, you see, back in Vietnam. Yes. I'm reading now. They're talking about an upcoming film script called Bullets Are Going to Come Out of Me Guns. You just watch. Oh, it's getting heated. Steven Seagal's picked up phone. Oh, he's looking very stern. I'll be speaking rather quickly. It's hard to catch the words. It's fried rice, boiled rice, Sichuan rice, 6 cans of... Oh, he's ordering the Chinese.
So I thought that was interesting, just a little peep into Steven Seagal's daily life there. So
It's pretty revelatory, really, wasn't it?
yeah, I mean, I got to be fair. When he picked up the phone, I thought he's going to be ordering a Chinese, isn't he?
Probably, yeah.
I've never broken up any kind of business meeting to order a full meal in the middle of it, but that's just how he rolls, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's his definition of a business meeting, really, isn't it?
His guest probably thinks he's ordering in for everyone as well, but it's just for him.
It's like...
Really, like, I guess we're looking at like the other guys around the table, and he's like, "Oh, 6 cans of Coke." So that's obviously there's 6 of us. And then Steven Seagal put his hand over the receiver, and he's like, "No, you don't understand. And you can do your order after I've done mine." 3 different types of rice. So yeah, thank you, Dickie Lightning, which is obviously a pseudonym. But we'll see what he gets up to next time. Are you both up for the next
pseudonym for Richard Thunder?
Are you both up for another crack at the movie trivia quiz?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll score up here. There's 10 questions this time. Before we go on to the what I like to call the meat and potatoes of the podcast. So yeah, you get 2 points for getting the question out right. 1 point if you have to go to the multiple choice part. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, in which film? Oh, what's your team name this week?
Lightning Dick.
Oh, nice. That was Tom Cruise's name in Days of Thunder, wasn't it? It's got a nice little nod there to a 1980. I'm going to say 6 movie.
No, Days of Thunder was 1990.
Yeah, it's post
Really?
Top Gun.
Yeah.
At least.
That's after he went to the dentist, I see. And pointed at his mouth and said, "Sort this out." We love you, Tom. Okay.
Did he ask for one tooth right in the middle of his mouth at the front?
And he looked up, and it was the Cyclops, who was the orthodontist from Kroll. He said, "You've come to the right place." He said, my depth perception isn't that hot, but my love for Tom Cruise films is... In which film does Henry Hill start out delivering newspapers before getting mixed up? Well, that's...
Didn't even let you finish.
Yeah. Much like when we're in bed, quite frankly. Who played the title role in Guy Ritchie's 2009 film Sherlock Holmes?
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr.
Guys, you're on fire. You've been practicing, haven't you?
No, I just set myself on fire after reading Max's book.
More on that later. You were going to do a live arse wiping, which we've never done before. A live book arse wiping. A podcast first. Who played? If I had a book and I wiped my arse, and you had to guess which page I was using just from the sound of the crinkling of the pages. That would be tough. Who played the title role in the 1960 film Spartacus?
Kirky
I'll take that.
D.
That's good. That's Kirk Douglas listeners, by the way. Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese were the heroes in which 1984 sci-fi blockbuster?
The Terminator.
That's one of my favourite comments we've had in our little Kino Kingdom WhatsApp group was the thought that they were deleted scenes where Kyle Reese, like the state of him, and he would she would be like in the dark in a hotel room next to him, and she'd be like, "Oh, have you been sick? Oh no, I just burped." Or like, "Oh, I've just taken my socks off," because he would be minging from the future. He would be like, she would say, "Get in that shower and don't come out till you've run out of cold hot water."
Didn't he literally steal like a homeless man's clothes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when I watched that when I was a kid, I thought he'd like molested him because the way that scene is, he sort of, the police kind of shine the torch, don't they? And he's like, the guy's like facing away from him, like crouched down, and he's like zipping up. And I thought, I feel like something untoward has happened. Like it was really oddly filmed, like the police have caught them in the act. But I was too young to like. It was like, oh, that doesn't seem nice. That doesn't seem right. But yeah, you know that when he's in the car and he starts kissing her, and then she unzips him, she says, "Right, you can zip back up, you can go in there, and you get the oil of Ole all over you, all over you." But yes, it was a Terminator. Oh, by the way, Rupert, didn't you say that Michael Bean's got like a really good? I haven't watched it yet. A really good podcast.
He does, yeah. He just like interviews like cult actors, and I mean, I've only seen 2 or 3 maybe, and one of them was James Cameron, one of them was Stephen Lang. So it's just him. It's just old men talking about films they made like 30 years ago. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah. The Charlie Sheen one with him is great as well, talking about Navy SEALs.
Oh, right, yeah.
And how they remember what they got up to on those film sets, especially Charlie Sheen, when you think about it, is quite miraculous. But yeah, quite lucid.
I was going to say Charlie Sheen. Is he what it's like Evan Dando. I went to see Evan Dando from the Lemonheads play gig last year in Cardiff, and he was battered. Right, he was kicking over his wine, and we saw him outside smoking weed before the gig, and then the first line of the review opened with, "Oh, the newly sober Evan Dando," and I thought, "Is he though? Is he?" And is it like that with Charlie Sheen? Was like, "Oh, I'm not on it anymore," and you look at him, and he's just like, he looks like Ozzy Osbourne's ball bag, or is he actually?
I was surprised. He looked surprisingly good. He looks like he's held together better than Michael Bean, to be honest, in the interview.
Okay. The blockbuster Suicide Squad is set in the aftermath of which superhero's death?
Which Suicide Squad?
Isn't it one of them called the Suicide Squad?
Yes.
Right, which
one was it?
This is Suicide Squad.
One.
It's got to be in the wake of Superman's death, isn't it?
Good work. I can't remember which one. Wasn't one of them just effectively them walking down a street slowly?
Yeah.
Yes, that one.
Neither of them was very good.
No, I think I might have preferred the second one, but the fact that I can't even differentiate my mind isn't a good sign. The 2015 film Brooklyn. Oh, hang on. The 2015 film Brooklyn Brooklyn A? This is very weirdly laid out in this card. The 2015 film Brooklyn told the story of a woman emigrating from which country to start a new life in 1950s New York?
Ireland.
Yes, they've got a capital A after Brooklyn and like loads of commas. This is a really poorly laid out question.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was really hard to read.
Does it give away the answer? No, I don't know.
That's really
weird.
That's just like a typo. Who played Police Chief Martin Brody in the iconic thriller Jaws from 1975?
Roy Scheider.
Yeah, Roy Scheider. A few months ago, he was like a mainstay on this podcast. Who played high school wrestler Andrew Andy Clark in the seminal 1980s movie The Breakfast Club?
God.
Oh, that's put a cork in your skirt, hasn't it?
I'm not sure I've ever seen The Breakfast Club all the way through.
I've seen it once.
It doesn't help.
But okay. I can't remember who's in it.
Who plays a wrestler in that? Hulk Hogan. Who knows?
Would you like to go to the multiple choice section?
Let's go for multi, shall we?
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how much this is going to help. I'm going to tell you that Hulk Hogan isn't on yet. Tom Cruise, Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez, or Robert Downey Jr.?
Emilio Estevez. Because he's in it.
So you go.
So that's the clue.
Promising.
That'll do. I just assumed they were all in it. Who played Jake Gyllenhaal's male lover in Brokeback Mountain?
Heath Ledger.
That's a very powerful film, that is. Well, for me, because I don't like crying, and I watched that, and there's a beautiful piece of music in that as well. I think it's called On Wings. It's just 3 guitar chords repeated perfectly. What is the name of Andy's bully boy next door neighbor in Toy Story?
Sid.
Oh, guys, you had 19 out of 20.
Oof.
Well done, Lightning Dick. And we'll do that. I enjoy that. We'll do that next time. So, yeah, Lazlo, I understand you've got 400 million films to cover.
Yes. Rounded up. Okay, I'll start with Just Cause, which is a 1995 thriller that I watched.
I was going to say
Amazon Prime.
Not based on the PS3 game with like a Hispanic action star. Then,
sadly, not. This is a solid, if unexciting, crime thriller drama, starring Sean Connery as a retired lawyer turned author who also stars Lawrence Fishburne as a shady local policeman, and Ed Harris. It's quite a good cast. Ed Harris is a kind of a psychotic serial killer who's in prison, who, like a Hannibal Lecter type, he has to go and visit, and he just chews the scenery endlessly. Blair Underwood is in it as the man. So there's a guy who's been wrongly accused and is on death row. He plays that character. He's been in lots of things too. And Kate Capshaw plays Connery's wife, and a very young Scarlett Johansson turns up as Sean Connery's daughter as well. And the basic premise is, yes, that Sean Connery is like a retired lawyer who gets drawn back into action to try and get this guy off death row who appears to have been pinned, the crime pinned on him just because he's black and he lives in a town full of racists. And it's kind of a familiar setup. What it does manage, it at least attempts to invert the kind of white savior trope by painting every character in it kind of morally grey. There's quite a few small twists where you find out someone who seems to be, whiter than white is not. But ultimately, it does end up with Connery saving the day, so it doesn't really rock the boat that much. And there aren't a lot of thrills to be had, to be honest, other than Ed Harris delivering a very sort of bonkers performance. But it does have a surprisingly horror-ish and violent ending, which was quite fun. But yeah, not much to say about it, really. It wasn't the most exciting thing I've ever seen.
This kind of appeals to me. Was this on Prime?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you do me?
And it's set in like Florida, I think. It's like all swampland and there's alligators around every corner. So it's a nice sweaty, noirishy sort of setup.
Like a bit of sweat.
Like a night moves, body heat in the electric mist. Yeah, that
Is
sounds
anyone
good.
smoking fags? Or?
Yeah.
Good.
Lawrence Fishburne doesn't stop smoking throughout the whole film. He
any linen shirts sticking to people?
Yeah. There's plenty of that. And there is a funny scene, I remember, where Lawrence Fishburne is sat next to Connery in the car, and to try and prove a point, I don't know, he gets the seatbelt and wraps it around Connery's neck and tries to like strangle him, and he just kind of lets him go, and he goes like, and that's what I mean, and Connery is just like, you could tell he's like fucking seething, but Lawrence Fishburne doesn't seem to care, and then they just carry on talking as if that didn't just happen. It's really weird, but other than odd little moments like that are kind of come out of nowhere. I don't know. Yeah, it's all a bit generic.
Can you do me a favor? If you go to Just Cause, not that one, on Wikipedia, and let me know when you've got the page up.
Do I have to type not that one?
No, yeah, it should just take you straight to it if you type in Just Cause film.
Okay, I am there.
Do you think when they did the picture for the poster, they said to Sean Connery, "Can you just look a bit like Gene Hackman, so people will do like a double take at the poster?" See what I mean? If you glance at that and then away, it's like, is that Gene Hackman? Oh no, Sean Connery. Okay,
that looks like they could have taken his face from any film that he made in the 90s. They've just they cut off any defining features there, haven't they? It's just his face.
But no, I probably will watch that. I might watch it tonight. Actually, I forgot to say before we started the podcast that I had 2 fill-ins today, just like only a few hours ago. My face is still a bit numb, and I've got like a headache, and I feel really tired. So if you hear a slam onto a keyboard or something, I've gone. But I've gone up just doing what I wanted, looking at Lawrence Fishburne. That's interesting. I'll keep that page up, actually. Rupert, do you want to jump on the bus?
Yes. Okay. I can talk about this screener now. I got a film called The Bone Keeper, or just Bone Keeper, I think. It's a British monster movie. It made its debut at Glasgow Fright Fest on the 6th of March. Wide release on the 6th of April. It starts off, an asteroid hits the Earth. And I'm pretty sure that the intro is AI created, right? And in fact, a lot of this movie looks like AI slop. So more on that later. So then it goes to the asteroid. Then it goes to a prologue involving cavemen being attacked by some creature. And then we jump to 1976, and you get an exposition dump with a voiceover, and a dude goes into a spooky cave and doesn't return. Then we jump to the present day, and this Olivia lady is the main girl, and it was her grandfather in the 1976 scene. But then her and her friend want to look for her mum in the caves. I didn't quite pick up why. Maybe the grandfather was looking for her in the caves? I don't know. Whatever. So anyway, Olivia goes with a bunch of so-called friends, right, who seem to act less like friends and more like people thrown together at a job assessment center. And they go to find this mythic bone keeper in this cave. And on the way, they pick up an annoying vlogger lady who films everything, but thankfully dies first. Oh, and by the way, that vlogger lady makes direct meta references to the fact that their cabin in the wilderness has horror movie vibes. So that's tedious already.
Yay.
So the main woman, this Olivia, she is a traumatized, broken mess of a woman who literally needs a carer to follow her around to keep her spirits up. So that's our dynamic hero. It's exciting stuff. And this is one of those movies where all the characters are immediately betrayed with a bunch of like debilitating conflicts before the horror even begins. Like, she's with a bunch of, I guess they're friends. The guys, the men amongst them, are treating the expedition as a joke, and the ladies are just dead serious. So, first of all, why would they go together in the first place if they're totally on different pages? Especially as in private, the men just discuss which of the women they want to shag the most. I really didn't really have any idea of their prior relationship or if they're actually meant to be friends at all. Anyway, they go to a remote village in search of a professor, and played by John Rhys Davies, who's doing a weekend's work on this movie and literally phoning in half of this performance. And so they find him, and then, oh my God, you get this interminable scene where there's a flashback from one character, and then it cuts to some old grainy Super 8 footage, and then there's another flashback from a different character, and the scene just goes on and has a whole subsection where they start discussing the possible source of the monster, like outer space thing. And I just thought, why are they bothering with this layer of backstory? Just get to the cave. So they get to the cave after 40 minutes, and then they instantly split up, and they've brought no radio communications, despite being repeatedly warned against going in the caves and having seen video footage of a large carnivorous creature. So they instantly start getting picked off, and all in the same way, with big CGI tentacles dragging them into the shadows. And the makeup effects are actually fine, but most of the effects are just weightless CGI, and 99% of which are like VFX cutaways, like rarely on screen with the characters, which again makes me think this is largely AI created. The script is terrible. It's just really flabby and repetitious, and has loads of inconsistent characterization, and the performances are just bad across the board. Like John Rhys Davies might as well be delivering his lines over Microsoft Teams. It looks horrible, flat, studio lit, horrible, even though they're in a cave. But then it also has this intensely annoying like insistence on these super tight like focus shots. So they're like so tight that even in close up, like even when it's close up, there are whole sections of the actor's face that are just blurred out, and it's just really irritating, and it's totally meaningless. The music is terrible. It's horrible placeholder synth orchestral score, which is constantly telling us to feel excited or scared, and yet we never do. And it's just not even an amusingly bad movie. It's just cheap and lazy and boring. So there you go. That's Bonekeeper. Crap.
The views of Rupert don't reflect those of all of us here at Kino Kingdom. How long is it?
You're just going to stop sending us screens on at this rate.
How long is it?
It went on my entire life.
Christ. Okay. That's a while, that is.
I was just remembering the screener.
It's probably 90 minutes, but my God.
Sorry, I shouldn't say this, but I'm just remembering the screener we got, and despite the fact it had a really high Rotten Tomatoes score, I looked at the trailer for it. I was like, no, I don't believe you. I don't believe those reviews. I'm not watching it.
I don't know. Sometimes you see, because I used to review loads of these screeners, for written reviews, and often they wouldn't have any like IMDb entry at all by the point I was reviewing them. But when they did, they'd always have a really high rating, but only after about 10 reviews. Because of course it was just like friends and family just like got on there, and this is great stuff.
Well, the director for this is Howard J. Ford, and he looks like he's in his 40s now. But he did a film in '94, but he has directed. Because I was just thinking, sometimes you watch these films and it's like a first-time director or like a young crew, and then it's okay, it's not great, but see what they do in the future. This is a man who, since 2000, has directed. It looks like 11 films, like The Ledge, Bonekeeper, River Blood, Dark Game, Escape. So there's no excuse now.
No.
It's interesting you should talk. Is this the first AI heavy film you've seen?
I've really noticed.
Knowingly, I suppose.
Yeah, it just seemed to stand out quite obviously, and it was a bit depressing, to be honest.
I imagine this is going to become a commonplace thing in low budget stuff. Like bigger budget stuff, I think there's enough unions and stuff that and attempts at artistry and they've got more money, that means that they can still hire people to do it. But at the lower budget levels, it's got to be awfully tempting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so cheap to do.
I mean, it just seems to be. But in this film, it seemed like there were whole bits where there'd be like landscape shots, and I mean, you notice now that like landscape shots, especially when it's like flying over the landscape, they use drones a lot right now, so it looks better than like a helicopter shot, and that's fine. But it's like they couldn't even be bothered to get a drone for this. It just clearly, it's like a high def CG landscape, and it's like, I don't believe they would have done that unless they had access to like AI visual design.
Yeah, and integrating AI stuff with your live action footage is still as complicated, really, as doing it with VFX. You're still
Just why they didn't bother in
compositing and
this.
stuff like that. So yeah, you're going to end
Just
up
cut
seeing
away.
lots of static standalone
Mhm.
AI shots, and then we cut back to your actual actors on your little set or whatever you are.
Yeah, they're little telltale signs. Maybe I'm wrong, and it's just badly made. But there are, like, for example, the monster in this seems to have no real, like, they never really settle on a form. It just seems to change each time it's on screen. Like they've slightly changed the prompt or something.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. You haven't created a CG model that you can then drop into your various scenarios. You're reliant on the AI spewing out something that looks close enough to your previous spewed out shot.
Give me something slightly Cthulhu-like in a cave.
It's interesting to me when people get hold of a piece of technology and think, well, we'll just use this. I remember watching, there was a Welsh band, I don't even know what they were called, but they obviously just got a drone, because the video was about 10 years old from memory, and it's them, and it's them singing like a really average song, and the footage is them walking up like a country road, and the drone just zooming over them over and over again as they like sing along to the words. And I thought, who thought this was good? Like, that's a tool. You have to have like a vision or some sort of, you can't just think, oh, we've got this, so we'll just use it. And that'll make it good. It doesn't, things don't work like that. That's not how the creative process works. It's like holding a guitar and thinking, oh, I can play like Yngwie Malmsteen now. No, not quite. But I do find it especially depressing with the AI because we're at the point now where it's completely removing any artistry or any sort of human interference or creativity. It's just nonsense, which is a shame. And on that topic, can I talk about something else that's just nonsense and full of CG and AI? And that's Return to Silent Hill by Christoph Gans. I watched this, and my relationship with Silent Hill isn't like most people's, because I think I watched my younger brother play the game when I was a kid. I vaguely remember Silent Hill 2, and but I know how revered the second game is, and I know they've just done a remake. I think it was Bloober Team, and it sold like 15 million copies. So it's still like a really sort of loved franchise. And I was really intrigued with this because I didn't realize that Christoph Gans actually did I think it was a 2006 original film with, I think Naomi Watts was in it, and it was just not very good. It was just nonsense. It was just like a really bad kind of low budget film. And I was really surprised that they got him back to do this one. I didn't realize this till after watching the film, though. This starts off with someone called James Sunderland, who's portrayed like a still life, like an artist. Almost crashes into someone called Mary as she's trying to leave her hometown, which we find out is Silent Hill. And she misses a bus in a way I'll go into in a minute. And then he says, he sort of says, I caused you to miss your bus by almost hitting you. Where do you want to go? And she says, just take me back. And the film starts off with him just driving it to Silent Hill with her. The way she misses her bus, right, is she's put her luggage in the middle of the road. So he's a bit stoned and he's just like driving and he swerves around a truck and he swerves to avoid hitting her and he knocks her luggage over and breaks the lock on it. And she's just put it in the middle of the road. Not for any, she's not there to sort of, as like a honey trap thing. She's just a stupid woman. And then this bus pulls up at the bus stop and he pulls up, opens the door, and the guy's just, the bus driver just stopped for like a minute. He's made no effort to, he's not like beeping or saying, come on. And she just walks up to him and says, go on, just go. And he sort of frowns and says, okay, and just drives off. And the way the film moves forward and reveals itself, you realize that it's a mixture of like a bad script and a bad acting, because he would have just waited. He would have just said, I can see you're picking up your luggage. I'll just wait for a minute. It's not a problem. But the film makes out that like there's this like huge rush and all these problems that don't exist, which is a problem that runs throughout the rest of the film, let me tell you. So they get in the car. She's a burner. He's like a good-looking bloke. And then all of a sudden it's a smash cut to him with someone in a bar telling him to wake up, and he's just spanned on beer. Of course, all alcoholics just drink beer all day. And and he's just face down, and he gets into like this fight, and you see that he's obviously not with Mary anymore, and he decides to go back to Silent Hill, which is what kicks the film off. And I don't really feel the need to spoil this, but it's a very bad film, and it does. I don't know if I assume that Christoph Gans is a fan of the franchise, but this is. It feels like I can imagine a lot of people are fans of this film. Really, probably quite a bit to say about this. But as just a horror fan, it's full of CG, possibly AI, but it's full of CG, and to the point that it's kind of tiring. Where because the town has three. It's foggy. And then it goes all shitty, and you get all the monsters, and then it gets even shittier, and everything's like rusty and metal, and then you get like all these horrible, these horrible cockroaches with sort of faces and mouths coming out the ground, and that's when things get really full on, and it's just him moving from set piece to set piece, just trying to find Mary, but it feels really slapdash and rushed, and it's like they have scenes in it that are directly taken from the games. Like even I was getting deja vu thinking, oh, that's literally a shot from the game, just with this dude in it, and it's at this sort of slavishly. And Akira Yamaoka is a producer on this, and it also uses his music as well. So it's really sort of tracing the game in some areas, but without any of the sort of passion or emotional weight of the game. So it's almost like, yeah, you remember that bit, right? That's done. Now you remember there's a bit in a hospital. Yeah, right. Of course, this is a 20-hour game truncated to like 100 minutes. So it's like, okay, he's in the hospital now. I've seen something. You remember that from the game? Right, that's done. Right, now to the next bit. Remember this bit with the nurses? Right, okay, that's done. And it feels like that all the time. Like he's just running. It's him. And it just makes a really repetitious film of him running from one place to the next with bits of like cutscenes inserted or key locations or certain camera angles, but with none of the sort of artistry of the game itself. So it's really like not pleasurable to watch as a sort of casual viewer. And it was getting to the end, and I thought, I don't know what the fuck's going on, because all of the sort of metaphor and the insinuations, all the things that make the game so beloved is just lost, and it's just a bloke just wandering around in these flashbacks, flash forwards. They're constantly using filters, and it's so CG-ish that nothing feels real. So you're like, is this a dream sequence? And it doesn't make it interesting or make you want to work it out. It just gives you this. It just makes you tired, and it finished, and the final scene, I did like the very final scene, the last 30 seconds, but I thought it's not worth this.
It's not worth it.
And yeah, and I don't know why Christoph Gans came back to do it. I don't know why they would trust him with it. And like the music is great because it's Akira Yamaoka, who has like a real skill at blending these things, but it's so CG heavy and so like irritatingly smash cutty and snappy that it's a weird blend of irritatingly pacey, but also feeling really plodding and repetitious. And when it finished, I just thought, bloody hell, what an absolute mess that was. And it only cost, I say only, 20 million, which is something. I suppose.
That's that AI saving.
Yeah. Is Christoph Gans directed Crying Freeman and Brotherhood of the Wolf with Mark Dacascos.
I haven't seen Brotherhood of the Wolf. I have seen Crying Freeman, though.
But he hasn't really directed much. He's only directed one film between Silent Hill and Return to Silent Hill.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Like
Silent Hill. Sorry?
I quite liked Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Yeah, I remember
from
it being
memory.
Good.
I think I saw it at the cinema.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was a while back.
So it's quite dark and sort of, and it's like a mashup of martial arts and werewolf sort of horror, and folky horror. Yeah, it's quite good.
Well, one of the things I forgot to say, but this Mary, he keeps on meeting versions of her in this town, but even though it's very clearly the same actress playing them all, and she's meant to be different versions of Mary, some of them he just won't recognize as like, oh, you look like, my wife. And other ones he will be like, oh, you look just like her, but like randomly. And it's almost like it's a really bad script that just is purely functional. And yeah, there's a whole thing about a cult and stuff. And I just thought the way, I don't want to spoil the film, because if people watch it, fair enough, and it's just not 20 years old yet. But even Mary will react very differently in some scenes, and then as a totally different character in other scenes. And you think, this is when you bumped into her at the start. If she had just said, "Look, this is the situation I'm in," he, even though he was a bit stoned, would have said, "Okay, well, let's skadoodle." But that's not what happens, and it's like the whole thing from the outset is really unbelievable. So the sort of crazier it gets, the more you just think, no, none of this is washing with me.
Would it be better if you're not familiar with the game? Because I've not played either of them. I haven't even seen the original film.
Oh, I'd be interested for you to watch it and review it and see what you thought, especially because of your sort of ins and outs of the industry, just because you can probably comment on the structure of it more than I can. But like I said, I'm very passively know the games. My brother's a huge fan of them, but it just seems like a really messily made film. But I would like you to watch it.
Stick too closely to the game, then, like if it's literally mimicking frames, but not.
It's
bearing
constant.
in mind it's a different genre.
Yeah, it's a different medium. So it's like they were trying to slavishly stick to key things in the game that fans will notice and sort of realize, but also having a load like the scripts and notes of the game, but not understanding what they mean. So it's just like, if they just show them, then that'll do it. If you know what I mean. There's no it just doesn't really hang together for me. But and the CG was tiring. It was like that Lost City of Z or Havoc or something where you think, God, I wouldn't mind seeing something that actually exists in the real world for a change.
Yeah. And did you pay for this?
I did. I paid real money for this. Such is my love. This is why we need people to send money to Kino Kingdom at protonmail.com. I'll read it my bank account online in a minute. Don't worry about that.
Now Max Hilarity's book's out. He could sponsor us, surely, with all the money he's making off that.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, do you know what? I was going to save this to the end, but now this has been mentioned twice. I'll say that Max Hilarity, our sort of a joke expert, has released a book called The Best Thing Till Sliced Bread, a compendium of jokes in paperback, hardback, or available on Kindle now on Amazon Prime. That's The Best Thing Till Sliced Bread by Max Harvey. Don't buy it, for fuck's sake. Just go on like Pirate Bay and download it, and then but then you'd have to print it off to wipe your ass with it. That's the problem. I don't know.
You could buy it, or you could stab yourself in your eyes and ears instead.
Yeah, the audition style of reading, that is, isn't it? Well, that film Audition, didn't someone knife themselves in the ears and that? You think, that wasn't a good move, was it? You could have just turned the Weezer album off on your stereo. So yes,
well, some of those jokes are like torture porn, to be honest.
How long can someone sigh though? I mean, there's 900 puns in that book. Do you think like, well, don't mind me, darling. You watch, Stepford Wives. I'm just going to read this book. Like, just as you flick through them, just how long can you sigh?
That's episode title.
Yeah. There we go. Thank you. KK117, how long can you sigh? But yeah, Return to Silent Hill. By the way, like I said, Kino Kingdom at protonmail.com. If anyone really enjoyed this film, I would be interested. But I also kind of want Lazlo or Rupert to watch it, because and Faye was the same. She is like, she knows of Silent Hill, but we were just watching it, looking at each other and frowning, like, what's happening? Why are we watching this?
Watch it. I watched the first one in 2006, and that's a load of shit. Although it has got a bit of a cult following now.
Really? No. This is like when people rediscovered Phil Collins. They're just wrong.
And then the prequel Star Wars films. Shall I talk about another sweaty, noirish film set in Florida called China Moon.
Please, God, do.
Oh, please do.
So I was on a bit of a binge of these sort of neo-noir films. But anyway, so China Moon from 1994 stars Ed Harris again, and Madeleine Stowe, who we talked about previously, and a very, very fresh-faced Benicio del Toro, and Charles Dance delivering a highly questionable Southern drawl accent. And this is like about as... the setup is about as noir generic as you can get, where you've got a self-confident blue-collar detective, a duplicitous femme fatale and her shady husband, and a twisty blackmail plot involving murder and some implausible hard-boiled dialogue. So good.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I would say the problem it has is it takes quite a while to set up shop. So the sort of murder that kicks things off doesn't happen till about an hour into it. But I wasn't bored. It sort of soaks you into this kind of corrupt, swampy world quite nicely. So that was good, and it builds a sense of intrigue, and it gives you lots of time to think about what's going on, which is a minor problem because it gave me enough time to guess the twist long before it landed. But anyway, the second half of it really picks up pace to the point where it starts to almost feel like it's rushing, but then the twist kind of explains why everything happened so quickly in that second half. So it kind of made sense. And it had a very pleasingly abrupt sort of ending where it doesn't really pan out as you might expect. So that was good. And Ed Harris and Madeleine Stowe have a good chemistry. And it features some highly questionable gender politics, as you would expect from a film of this era.
Good.
Yeah. It basically, the classic Ed Harris gets rejected by her initially, so he gets pushy and stroppy. And then he abuses his police powers to find out who she is and where she lives, so he can pressure her into shagging him. So that kind of thing. And he's the good guy.
And then he gets promoted to captain. Good luck shagging that bird, mate. Yeah. Both your films, Just Cause, Not That One, and this, make me want to watch them. There's something about these 90s neo-noir thrillers. I'm like you. I also like the fact that the cover also makes it look like when you glance at it and glance away, you have to do a double take because it's like, is that Ed Harris's hand like over the moon? Is he leaning on the moon? With his wrists, like it's a pool table, but no, it's just not.
It's just a cloud.
I'm keeping both of these up. Yeah. What China Moon is that a saying? I've never heard of the term China Moon.
It is referenced in the film. I can't remember because I was wondering the same thing, but it comes up. I think there's a type of moon where the moon is very big and pale or something that it's known as the China Moon. They do explain it in the film.
There's a type of moon where it's really big and pale, and people refer to it as the Vincent D'Onofrio moon. Yeah. It's a full Vincent D'Onofrio tonight, darling. Yeah, he is. Yeah. He's off the potatoes and the rice, isn't he?
Yeah,
straight on the smack. Sorry.
Is this on Prime by any chance?
It was, but I remember it being one of those ones where it says it's leaving soon, which means it will be back in a month or two if it has gone. But it might not be on there at the moment.
They're not going to let this one get away.
Yeah,
this was we've covered it now.
Enjoyable than Just Cause, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Intriguing. Okay. I watched something on Plex. I'd just like to point out, if you've ever watched something on Plex and their free tier, right? It's like 2 hours of adverts, occasionally punctuated with a snippet of the film you're watching. It's astonishing. But I watched Brazil on Plex because it's the one place to watch it for free. It was directed by ex-Python, Terry Gilliam, in 1985, from a script he worked on with the late Tom Stoppard. probably best known for the play Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead, and on film for Shakespeare in Love. It's had a budget of about 15 million, which is about 45 million today, but it did not recoup that at the box office. You know, who'd have thought a 2.5-hour dystopian satire wouldn't set the box office alight? So it's a kind of 1984 style world, and Sam Lowry, played by Jonathan Pryce, works for the Ministry of Information, and a clerical error sees an Archibald Buttle getting locked up by the cops for a debt that isn't his. Sam has to investigate, but they're actually looking for an Archibald Tuttle. And there's also a Harry Tuttle involved. And I've never quite grasped the plot of the film, but basically Sam ends up embroiled in a conspiracy, and he ends up breaking free of his administrative existence and becoming a freedom fighter. And this all comes about because he accepts a promotion to a different ministry, which is called Information Retrieval. It's the only way he can get more information about his literal dream girl, Jill Layton, played pretty woodenly by Kim Greist. She was in Miami Vice the same year, which presumably got her the gig in Manhunter in 86, where I think her natural iciness was better suited. Anyway, she retired from acting in 2001. So Sam has these vivid dreams in which he's a winged hero come to save the damsel in distress. But of course, Jill is no damsel. She's like a cigarette-smoking truck driver with a boy's haircut. So yeah, this is a proper dystopian world. And, you know, there are like signs in Sam's workplace saying things like suspicion breeds confidence and stuff. And terrorism is totally normalized. And it's also a Christmas movie, by the way. It's like a running joke about these generic gifts being passed around by people within the ministry. Now, Roger Ebert criticized this film because it was confusing and hard to follow, but I think that's part of the point, really, because it's basically showing how like an innocent error in an excessively bureaucratic system can end up threatening to, well, topple the entire system, really. It's got beautiful production design, this kind of retro tech. Blade Runner meets Fallout with a bit of Bioshock, even a bit of Batman the Animated Series, dare I say it, in the architectural design. It's like a world of pipes and wires, and it's sort of an analog world. It's like our reality now, where capitalism is driven by information, but without a way of storing it or disseminating it digitally. And I found it interesting that they're like the bosses aren't the demons, because like Ian Holm is like Sam's boss, and he's just an anxious, defeated little bully with zero confidence and can't make a decision. And I think it's quite a good observation on middle management, to be honest. Like the administrative infrastructure is the real evil, like these over complex systems relying so heavily on precision and control that when a literal bug occurs, the entire thing unravels. Meanwhile, all the lower level workers are just kind of doing their job indifferent to the corrupt system. And yet it is kind of prescient in the end with regard to billionaire overlords, because ultimately it's saying that the super rich and powerful maintain these complex corrupt systems, which are too complicated for their minions to comprehend, which leaves them trapped. But of course, through happenstance, Sam worms his way out. And he's kind of miserable and selfish, but in seeking happiness for himself, he kind of recognizes the importance of it in others, and he becomes more selfless. So it's quite a cool arc. I'd say the first half of the film is easily the best, all the world building and the dark humor. And there's a brilliant scene where Sam goes to deliver the refund check to Buttle's grieving widow. And it's just such a funny scene. It's like the tonal juxtaposition with like Sam being really upbeat and officious and the widow just wailing in animal grief. And yeah, so that's all really funny. I watched this film endlessly as a kid, and I thought the world building was really cool. And it's still a really cool satire, but looking at it now, like the action scenes are kind of tacky and laborious, and they just seem to be reaching for a wide audience while needlessly lengthening the film. Apparently, the far right are quite big fans of this film, presumably because it covers a lot of the stuff you might find in a communist society, similar to how right-wing folks like to cite George Orwell when making their case for free speech. while in the same breath going doolally when they observe something they perceive as woke or gay or trying to trans their kids. But hey, the irony is clearly lost on them. I still think this, Brazil is still the best of Terry Gilliam's big-ish budget, big scale, weird visions. He's better than Baron Munchausen, better than 12 Monkeys, better than Zero Theorem. It's flawed, but kind of flawed only as a result of its ballsy boldness, I would say. So,
well, I was going to say, do you think this is his best film?
I think so.
And the second question, has he made a good film? Like an outright good film?
I don't think he's made an outright good film. But then you watch any of these films, like the ones that I mentioned, like, and you're always going to find something interesting in there. And like, he is a visionary. He's got that. And there's no way anyone's going to be throwing $50 million at him these days.
No. Did you end up watching what's it called? Bloody hell. The one that he started making and then the sets got washed away in a flood, and then 20 years later he made it again with Johnny Depp.
No. What was it called again?
Oh, that's the one about Don Quixote, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, was that the Don Quixote one? Yeah, because I knew he'd been trying to make that for years and years. I never watched that. I didn't even know it was finished, to be honest. Yeah,
he did get to make it in the end, and no one watched it, but including me. So I'm just curious as to whether it was worth all the trouble.
Maybe I'll try and seek it out. Maybe it's on Plex.
I'll squeeze in a quick 2-minute. I watched at my son's behest Beethoven, the 1992 comedy film directed by Brian Levant, starring Charles Grodin and Bonnie Hunt. Charles Grodin and Bonnie Hunt play husband and wife. He is 56, she is 29, and nothing is made of it. Nothing. It is when it started, I thought, well, that's obviously his daughter. No, his wife. It starts off with, amazingly, I was loving this because I thought this would just be complete trash, but it starts off and it's Harvey and Vernon, these two. They go around stealing these puppies for this awful veterinarian played by what's his name? Is it? Oh, Dean Jones. He's got the most insanely gravelly, sinister voice. He's clearly an evil man. He just plays this vet. But yeah, Harvey and Vernon, these two thieves, played by Stanley Tucci and Oliver Platt. Stanley Tucci has apparently never had hair. Never, ever, ever. And they sort of... they're not in it enough, really, because these are really clumsy sort of thieves that steal these dogs for... Dean Jones's evil veterinarian who tests all these things on dogs. And I was watching this, and I know, Rupert, you've got a young son as well. When you watch films that are like U or PG from like the 80s or 90s, you think, yes, but are they U or PG, or are they just is someone in it going to be called Bob Cunt, and they're going to spend like the whole film looking at tits and slapping asses, and you're going to have to constantly explain it to a 4-year-old? But this is actually like a decent family film. So yeah, and the one of the dogs, Beethoven, who's a big Saint Bernard, escapes from the van in quite a funny way, and he sort of happens across this family it's like 3 kids, Bonnie Hunt and Charles Grodin as the patriarch, and it's how they all completely fall in love with him, apart from Charles Grodin, who is quite funny how just irate he gets, rightfully so, quite frankly, in some instances. And like where he's just ruining things and chewing shoes and breaking things and like ruining entire rooms, requiring remodeling, and the family are like, oh, Beethoven, and Charles Grodin's like, no, not oh, Beethoven, no, oh, put down the dog. And I thought, oh, yeah, okay. So yeah, and then it goes on, and the family, they fall in love with him, and eventually the vet needs Beethoven for some to test. Again, this was one of the parts in the film that was hard to explain to my son. It's like, why does the naughty man want the dog? And it's like, all right, well, son, he wants him so he can shoot him in the face with a bullet to see what it does to like large skulled animals. Okay, but that never gets to that point. And yeah, it's all sort of silly fun whenever there's any there's a funny scene at the end when they're trying to break in. Charles Grodin and his family are trying to break into this warehouse or this. They finally kidnap Beethoven. They're going to do all this stuff, and he just falls through the roof, and it just all kicks off, which was quite good. But it's sort of lighthearted fun, and it hasn't dated too much, apart from Charles Grodin's jumpers. There are some scenes in this film where I was sitting there and I must have muttered Jesus Christ under my breath, and my son said, "What's wrong, Daddy?" And I said, "His jumper. What's wrong with his jumper, Daddy?" "Well, look at it. You can see what I can see. What do you think is wrong with it? Look at it. It's made of like tiny dots of multicolored wool. Why is he wearing it? He hasn't even popped the collar out." So yeah, it's Charles Grodin's clothes. He's showing that he's 56 and his wife is a total burner in her late 20s. But I'm probably going to watch Beethoven second. I'm not going to lie to you, and possibly even the animated TV series, because I finished and I thought, I quite enjoyed that, and it was nice to see Oliver Platt and Stanley Tucci.
Are you able to tell me off the top of your head how many sequels there are to this film?
Well, there's Beethoven second was the only. I guess theatrical one. Are they like TV sequels?
Correct. Beethoven second was the only theatrical one, but in total there were 7 sequels to this movie and an animated TV series.
Oh, I don't know if I get through all of those. Can I make it like just an assumption, if I may? I'm going to assume that Charles Grodin isn't in any of them after the second one.
Let's have a quick look, shall we? No. Oh, Judge Reinhold's in the third one.
Okay. This is going to be fun. Who's the dad in each one? Because so it's still a named actor, and he's got a good comic. Good comic job.
Judge Reinhold bailed. So the 5th one stars someone called Dave Thomas.
I think that's genuinely my dick.
Oof. I don't know any of the names from Beethoven's Big Break.
Are there any hyperlinks, or is it all grayed out?
There are hyperlinks. I mean, Stephen Tobolowsky, I know him.
Yeah. A Passport. Right. Yeah, we know him.
Beethoven's Christmas Adventure doesn't even have its own page.
Did they get to a 5th film in the series? Because Beethoven's 5th is like his most famous work. So
that was the last of the numbered ones.
Okay, they made it there at least.
Movie was Beethoven's Treasure Trail.
Even the
doesn't have an entry on Wikipedia. Doesn't even have any details of the cast. So
I'm going to talk about something later on that's going to kind of fall in this camp, but I might see if I can get hold of all of these and see at which point my son loses interest. Like an innocent 4-year-old who loves animals is like, I don't want to watch this, Daddy, because that happened with the film I'm going to talk about later on. So yeah, that was Beethoven, and it's dated, but it's still like good family fun.
It'd be like Home Alone, where it got to the 4th one, and halfway through, at the time, 9-year-old nephew was just like, "Can we do something else?"
And you said, "Yeah, we can watch the 3rd one again."
Checked out of it. But of course, I've disowned him now because he didn't like Jurassic Park. So fuck him.
Yeah, that's a disappointing tale.
Is it my turn?
Absolutely so.
Okay, I've got a quick one to get out of the way. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Not that one.
Oh, do you know, I've been meaning to watch that one for about 4 years now. Okay, go on.
So this is the new pointless rehash where they've just used the same title as the original one just to confuse. And for all intents and purposes, it's essentially a remake because it's the same story set in exactly the same kind of place, featuring another bunch of not enormously memorable characters. And then it just weaves in a couple of legacy characters from the original couple of films. So it's essentially a legacy sequel, but it's a remake, really. And Jennifer Love Hewitt has absolutely nothing to add to this. She's barely even in it. Freddie Prinze Jr. is back as well, and he has given at least some stuff to do. But I gather his treatment, the treatment of his character in this film, pissed off the few fans of the original out there. So if you did like the original films, you may take issue with this one to a degree. But anyway, taking for what it is, it takes quite a long time to get going. And it does, which is nothing really but highlight how superficial and bland these characters are, despite some of the actors being half decent and doing their best. When it does finally get going in the second half, there are a couple of half decent kills, but there's a couple of oddly off-screen kills as well, which feels like it's really missing the point of these things, unless you're going to bring those characters back to life at some point, but they don't. So that was weird. So yeah, it's not very good, but neither were the originals. So it's a serviceable entry in the franchise in that regard. And that's about all I have to say about it. If you're tempted, I would say you could just give it a miss, because you are not missing anything.
I'm not really. I don't think the original was much cop, to be honest.
No, just watch the original again. It's better than this, and at least it was semi-original at the time, even though it's obviously kind of lampooning, not to a lesser degree than the Scream films did. This feels like it was made just because there was Scream films are doing all right, so they were like, what else have we got?
Right.
This is kind of the equivalent of like remaking The Faculty or something, isn't it? Which is something of a time. You know, I know what you did last summer was kind of, like you say, follow on from Scream, and I remember bits of it enough to make me want to watch them again just for the nostalgia of it. And The Faculty, I understand, is a good film, but to do like a same titled remake, you think, what do they expect? What it's like, yeah, this feels like the sort of real nadir of ideas, isn't it? This, well, let's just remake that.
Yeah. It's got like a slightly indie sensibility to the first half, but the problem is the script has got nothing to say. There's literally nothing going on in its head. So there's these sort of pretty vacuous characters, and you're waiting for something bad to happen to them. And they just sit there. They literally have nothing to say of substance, so it's boring. It looks kind of, it's not badly shot or anything. It doesn't feel super cheap, but it's just boring.
Right, so following the cancellation of the 2021 television series adaptation, what are people expecting? Like, of all the franchises, that's so bizarre. I had no idea this even existed. I'll probably watch it because. Oh my God, this has just shocked me that this got released.
Yeah, and it's on Now TV. That's where I watched it in the UK. So if you've got that, you don't have to pay out money for it.
We're here in the UK, just in case you can't work out from our accents, our thick San Franciscan accents. Dear me, absolutely dear me.
I guess they couldn't use I Still Know What You Did Last Summer because that was the second one. How many more variants?
Was it like, I know what you did last summer?
Forget what you did last summer.
I'll always know what you did last summer.
Yeah. I mean, I can't. But it wouldn't. You need to, if you're going to reboot, it's so lazy, isn't it? They can't even bother to think of a funky title.
Yeah. I can't remember if they did some straight to video sequels after the second one. They might have already done some of these things, but
they did. There was a third one. I'll always know what you did last summer. There was definitely a third one.
Okay,
but after that, it's into the weeds then.
Yeah, well, I think even probably in the third one didn't have like Jennifer Love Hewitt and that lot in it. I think this is the first one with those two coming back since the second one.
Jennifer Love Hewitt, has she had Michael Clive, or are we okay? Are we in the clear?
I mean, I used to have a thing for Jennifer Love Hewitt. Back in the day, I barely recognise her in this.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we are talking 20 years plus later, but yes, I think it's safe to say she's had a bit of Pauline Quirk. I've done.
Calling Quirk Olivia Munn.
I just, that film title, I always know what you did last summer. That doesn't really make sense beyond the first year, does it? Because by the time you get into it wouldn't be last summer anymore, would it? So say always, like in a couple of years' time, it wouldn't be last summer.
It should be that summer. I know.
Yeah.
I always know what you did that summer.
That specific summer.
Yes, I'll always know what you did last summer, 2006. Let's look into this further, guys. We haven't really gotten deep enough. So it's panned by critics. So that was 2006, and the next film was just the 3 sequel. I know what you did last summer, 2025. Yeah, so yeah, I'll always know what you did last summer. Yeah, you're right. I'll always know what you did that summer would be the one that. Yeah. Wow, I kind of feel like I have to watch the original trilogy now. I don't know why. I know the failed bang up for it. I think that's why it's.
I can say with confidence so you can stop after number 2, but I'm not sure if I've seen the third one.
Okay.
Oh, before you you go on to the next one, Lazlo, what was the episode title for this one? It was something about gasping for breath, but I've forgotten to make a note of it.
Was it something to do with the longest sigh? I can't remember either.
How long can you sigh? The endless. What are we going to go with?
I can't remember.
How long can you sigh, or the endless sigh?
The endless sigh sounds quite epic.
The endless sigh genuinely sounds like a 90s thriller.
Okay, go on then. Starring Ashley Judd. Okay, yeah, we'll see your turn, Rupert. I'll make a note.
Right. Can we stop messing about and talk about Tombstone, please?
Oh, I watched this too. I watched this last night. That's great. Though.
Wicked.
We can compare great notes.
I was inspired after watching Stephen Lang on Michael Bean's podcast.
Exactly the same.
They both look fantastic, by the way. I mean, Michael Bean's had a rough time. I mean, but considering he's an ex-alcoholic who had a stroke, I mean, he's doing all right. They both look good. Yeah.
I feel bad for joshing on him now.
Laughing at him.
I didn't realize
I had no idea. I had no idea he's had a rough time.
And let's bear in mind, they just look like 2 healthy older men, unlike Jim Carrey, whose new face is just tragic.
Why? Do you know? Can we spend a minute on this?
Yes. Faye
showed me a picture of him, and she said, "Oh, apparently." I said, "Oh, is that real? Is it a waxwork? What am I looking at?" And she said, "Well, no." Genuinely, I said, "Is that like a waxwork or something?" And she said, "No, it's that people are saying that he's like, as a joke, hired like a lookalike." And I said, "Oh, fair enough." And then she showed me another. Obviously, she's in the industry. Another makeup artist that does these full body suits sort of lookalikes and turns up to award ceremonies. And I thought, it's probably that then. So when Rupert said, no, that's him, I could not believe that he has altered his moneymaker. He's taken away the thing that made him, if you know what I mean. Sorry, I find it completely bizarre.
Because, his expressions are unique and virtually their own brand, aren't they, really? I think a lot of the conspiracy theories about it are just wishful thinking on people's parts. I mean, he's come out and said, it's true. It could just be an amazingly elaborate joke, which would be pretty funny, but I don't know.
What, as in
he's gone a bit far now.
Lampooning Hollywood by getting a matching wax job, face job.
Well, that would be a pretty good meta joke, but if it is the case that he's just gone ahead and done that, then it's just sad because he is someone who's spent a long time criticizing the kind of shallowness of Hollywood. So, anyway,
he is a Hollywood actor, though. At the end of the day,
ultimately,
they're not known for their great perspectives and lack of vanity.
So, Tombstone. The original director was fired early on and replaced by someone called George P. Cosmatos, although apparently Kurt Russell asserts that this guy was just a ghost director and Kurt actually directed the movie. So, it's about Wyatt Earp, who's a retired sheriff who rocks up in Tombstone to make a living outside the law. He runs a poker table, but a gang called the Cowboys are in town and they're causing trouble, menacing the locals. And the film is basically back and forth between the Earps and the Cowboys, including the famous gunfight at the OK Corral. It's all tit for tat. And it's kind of saying something about gun culture in America, I guess. And the cast is pure testosterone. You got Russell, Bean, Lang, Elliot, Paxton, Booth, Kilmer, Heston, Hayden Church, Rooker, Bob Thornton, Zane, Stallone, not that one, John Burke, and even Robert Mitchum as narrator. It's ridiculous.
And Jason Priestley as well. Let's not forget.
Oh yeah, sorry,
Macho Man.
Forget. Billy Bob Thornton's like weirdly fat in this movie as well.
Yeah, I hadn't even realised he was in this film until I saw him. I was like, oh my god, that looks like an overweight Billy Bob Thornton, and it was.
Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday is sweating in this movie. He's also brilliant. I mean, I think Dennis Quaid as Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp is amazing as well. But this is a superior movie to Wyatt Earp, which was a bit stodgy and overlong. Wyatt Earp also features a scene in which a 39-year-old Kevin Costner was made up to look like a teenager, by the way. Let's not forget that.
Really?
Yeah.
I need to watch that again.
It is staggering. But yeah, Val Kilmer, brilliant. The scene where he's saying goodbye to Wyatt is an absolute killer. And Kurt Russell is fantastic in this film as well, by the way, because he's portraying like a stolid, decent man without coming across as boring, because he's got gravitas, you see. I'd say it's very
epic moustache.
Watchable. Yes. They've all got amazing moustaches, haven't they? It's very watchable and almost great, I'd say. Bean and Lang talked about the original script and vision on the podcast, and they were describing it as kind of an Old West Godfather. You can see elements in that, in the way that the character conflicts drive the story, the way that character deaths shift the direction of people's lives, and it's very operatic. And it's actually quite emotional at heart, but of course none of the characters have any sense of vulnerability to show it. And the script is decent in an old-fashioned Hollywood style, I'd say. I just think probably what it's lacking is just an artist behind the camera, maybe. And I felt like there was something just off about the pacing and possibly the rhythm of the film. Because like you think about like Sergio Leone or someone like that, he was great at like shifting the pacing to build tension, sometimes interminably. And then you'd have like a sudden rush of action and then a kind of a slow, languid scene. And he had these ebbs and flows. And I think Tombstone just kind of barrels along. So all the big showdowns just kind of happen amid other stuff. So perhaps there's an editing issue or a studio interference issue. Anyway, the movie did really well, so I guess the studio was right. But I do like this film a lot. It's incredibly watchable. And the cast is amazing. The performance is great.
What's nice as well about this is when I'm on YouTube and like various things, usually for me it's like Kurt Russell pop up, everyone seems to like have really fond memories of it and they're really proud of it as well, which gives it like a lightness as well, a sense of camaraderie, which is, because it is an ensemble cast, adds to that sense of, oh, I want to watch this because I know that not only is it great, but then everyone involved loves it as well, which just makes it feel even better, more sort of wholesome.
Yeah, I've seen a few clips of the likes of Russell and obviously Bean and Lang talking about it recently, and I suppose it's probably quite bittersweet for them as well, because you think about people in that movie, Bill Paxton, Powers Booth, Val Kilmer, have all died since, sort of thing, and they were similar age to them, so yeah,
and it's like it's got so many alpha like male actors in it that it's from what they were saying, there was quite a lot of ructions on set, and as well as the director who didn't really have control of things. Although I don't buy the Kurt Russell directing thing, just because the style of this has a lot of similarities to, because the guy did George P. Cosmatos did Cobra and Rambo 2 and stuff, and it feels like those films, and it looks like those films.
Pacey action, as you say.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's got so many great one-liners in it and stuff that it's very quotable. this film.
Yes,
and I feel like it
preposterous.
probably plays well at like when they stick it on at cinemas and stuff, which is probably why the actors have fond memories of this one. But yeah, I know what you mean pacing wise, because there are some really intense shootouts. There's a couple at least that are real great, and then there's lots of montage action. Like I've kind of forgotten about how many scenes there are of people just riding in a row on horses, shooting other people on horses who are then falling off horses, and then they're shooting people and riding horses through shop windows and then shooting people whilst they're getting their hair cut. And it's amazing. And there's a bit where they're riding across the plains in a row, shooting guns, and they're not even shooting at anyone. There's no one there. They're just shooting up in the air and at diagonals. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's cool.
I remember watching this years ago, a good few years ago now with Faye, and it was a scene was coming up, and I thought, I'm going to get the lump in my throat, and it's at the end where Kurt Russell's visiting Doc in the hospital, and when he says, I don't want to play no more Wyatt, and I looked at Faye, and it totally broke her, and I remember thinking, yeah, it still has that power, that sort of. I suppose the whole thing with we talk about stuff like Predator, where it's a lot of alpha male stuff, and then it sort of strips it away.
Yes.
It's still an alpha male way. This film has that sort of human fragility in it. That sort of like these people get broken down in a way that like life and health can break down. So there's at least that. It's not just like a load of alpha males, like they're not just like firing into the sunset at the end or living the dream. You know what I mean? It's like, yay! It's not like the Commando or something. So at least there is that extra sort of layer to it.
Yeah. It's like they're guys who are not, especially with Doc Holliday and Kurt Russell, they're not afraid to show their feelings, even if they kind of do it through, stiff upper lip kind of.
Yes. Joe was going to say earlier on, I didn't want to interrupt Rupert when he was talking about it, but what I remember of this film is like Kurt Russell's a good looking man, but in this film with like the moustache and there's something that the hat and the moustache and his jaw is so set for this whole film. He looks very square, and there are so many scenes in this film where he's like grinding his teeth like such a steely glare, like dealing with things or like with tension. And I just remember thinking that is an intense man.
He means business in this film.
On the subject of you talking about, Bill Paxton and Powers Booth and ever not being with us anymore, with I watched a clip recently and it ties back into one of our favorite films, RoboCop, with Peter Weller, who I hope everyone has watched Screamer since I last talked about it, but he was on stage at some sort of con somewhere, and he was with one of the producers, and he said, I haven't watched RoboCop in a while. He said, because he said, when I made RoboCop, I don't know if you guys have seen this, when I made RoboCop, I was young, I was, I didn't have any kids, I wasn't married, I was just, like a very serious actor doing it and wanted to do what was best for the film. And I thought it was a great film and a comment on sort of capitalism. He said, now I've got a family. He said, my son was like, can we watch RoboCop? And he said, I watched it with my wife and my kids. He said, it completely broke me. I was like the whole resurrection and the man losing. He said, it hit me in a totally different way. And he said, I was just like bawling by the end of it. He said, I never want to watch that again. And I thought that's. I mean, I love Peter Weller, as we all do. We've all seen Top of the World, but there's something about the way that these films can even hit the actors at different stages in their career and lives. That I think is just shows the quality of it, and the timelessness of it.
Yeah, the fact that those guys on the Beans podcast can talk so kind of like precise memories and fond memories. Right. It's quite telling that everyone had a good time. Well, most people anyway. The director maybe not.
Poor George. Is it my turn now? Sorry,
I believe so.
I kind of just say I'm really enjoying this episode. I'm having a bloody lovely time.
No,
possibly because I'm drinking nice wine, which is helping. I watched Stage Fright, not that one from 1950. I watched one from 1987. You get your balls lined up in the row. Have either of you seen this haunting you on Amazon Prime?
No.
A 1987 Italian slasher film.
No.
I think so.
One of those nights I sat down with Faye the other day and I said, let's watch a action slasher. And I came across Stage Fright, and it's basically a load of people locked in a sort of, I don't know what they're called, like a rehearsal theatre, or like, just out in the woods somewhere. Like I'm in a band, so I use like rehearsal rooms, but like a rehearsal theatre where it's outside and there's like a theatre stage, and then an office and blah blah, and it's where they sort of practice before they go off Broadway. It's in America. It's an Italian production. It's this theatre troupe rehearsing this like a show about a mass murderer called the Night Owl, which is just a man in like a black leotard with just a massive owl head on, and it's this sort of 80s like boo. It's dreadful. And it starts off, and then he like sort of slashes someone's throat. They go to this ridiculous dance routine. It's very 80s and very wonderful, and you get to know the characters. There's a sort of chain smoking, oily haired director who's just hurling abuse at everyone. A producer who's doesn't want to put any more money towards it. The killer is a really camp guy who's teasing everyone, and there's production staff, and you kind of get to this little group of people. You get to grips with them, and then we find out that the main actress has got, the main performer, sort of singer, has got a bad ankle, and she gets taken off to, naturally they say, well, the only sort of medical facility nearby is an insane asylum where there's someone in there who has just murdered a load of kids, and he ends up breaking out, putting on the Night Owl costume and hunting them down in this theatre as the night goes on. And it's a really tight, snappy film. I think it must be 90 minutes. 86 minutes. And it's like really trashy and sort of gutsy. And fun to watch alone or in a group, because it's got enough scenes that make you say, what? But it's also so sort of propulsive that it works. There's scenes where like someone is getting in the car, and then it's raining, and you see like the killer behind them, and then they drop the key in the mud, and they're like pissing around, going, "Where are you?" And then the glasses fall off, and then they're trying to pick it, and you think, "Oh my, pick up the fuck before it kills you," and it's infuriating. There's a scene as well where the actress who's like hurt her ankle goes to this asylum, and they see this guy called Wallace, whatever his name is, who's this sort of killer. And then a doctor there genuinely seems to want to help her. He's like, "Oh, I've got like a medication, like I can numb your ankle and it'll get you through the performance for tonight, but you do need to rest it up." And as he's injecting it, he's just openly like rubbing her legs and like with his tongue out of his mouth, like, "Oh my god!" But the two girls in the room are chatting as if it's not happening. I think it's just a really sleazy doctor, that is. The kills aren't particularly gruesome, but you don't really need them. It's just them, as they realize they're just being picked off, trying to stick together and then separating, and people arguing with each other. There's a scene that really tickled me where they're in this. They end up, when they realize that this is serious and there's a few of them being killed, and there's about 6 of them, and they're in this kind of makeup room, like the sort of green room off the stage, and one of them has got a pipe, and then one of them has got like a knife, and then they say, "Oh, the workshop. If we can get to the workshop, we can get some weapons to like fight this guy off." And then they get to the workshop, and they all leave with the weapons they walked in with, apart from one guy who picks up an axe and a woman who just picks a rock up off the floor. And I thought, I wouldn't have risked that. I think I would have just stayed in that room, to be honest.
It wasn't worth it.
Yeah. And it keeps on cutting back to these cops outside, one of whom I think maybe the director, Michelle Suavi, who is, and they're supposed to be, but of course it's booming it down with rain, and they've got these huge industrial metal doors, so they can't hear anything that's going on inside, and they're just constantly bantering about like, "Oh, wife's giving me spinach for lunch again," and it's literally just a box of spinach, like just spinach. Meal.
That would be disappointing.
And then he's like, "Oh, you must pick up the carbs," and then he's like trying to fix the engine, and you see him in the footwell, but it's clearly not the footwell of a car because it's about 4 feet long. And it's just ridiculous. It's silly, but in a fun way, So yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. And I think it's called Deliria in Italy, but Stage Fright in the West, and in the UK. And Michelle Suavi went on, Rupert, to not only direct The Church, but to direct Della Morte Dell'Amore, Cemetery Man, one of our favorite movies with Rupert Everett. Yeah, so like Cemetery Man is one of my favorite horror films, or one of my favorite films actually. It transcends genre. But yeah, Stage Fright is on Amazon Prime right now, and if you just want if you've come home after a night out, a few pints, and you've got a glass of wine left, for God's sake, chuck on Stage Fright from 1987, not the one from 1950.
I take it this is on Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah.
I will watch that.
Good.
Is it me or you now, Rupert?
It's you.
Okay. I watched The Bluff, which is a new film on Amazon Prime. This is a pirate-themed action film, and I quite enjoyed it. It's basically just all action romp in a cool setting with a plucky heroine played by Priyanka Chopra Jonas, and Carl Urban playing a villainous pirate with an accent that spans the entire globe. I honestly have no idea what accent he's trying to do here, but I guess as a pirate they've traveled the world, so maybe he's picked up bits and bobs. Anyway, the main plot involves Carl Urban's nasty pirates raiding a ship and finding gold on it that was stolen from him many years ago. So he makes the ship's captain take him to where the gold came from, because there's meant to be lots more of it, which happens to be an idyllic tropical island where the captain's wife, played by Priyanka Chopra Jones, and kids live. So the pirates kill a bunch of locals and attempt to make Priyanka hand over the rest of the gold. But it turns out that she is Bloody Mary, a notoriously bloodthirsty John Wick-style ex-pirate who stole the money from Urban and is famous for murdering people. So what seems to be... I mean, I'm spoiling a little bit of a twist here, I guess, but the trailer makes it quite apparent that there's more to her than meets the eye. So you think she's just a sort of the stay-at-home wife with the kids, but she then proves to be quite capable of killing people. And from then on, it's more or less wall-to-wall, running, gunning, stabbing, exploding, hiding, setting booby traps, and I had a lovely time. So it's not deep. It literally has nothing on its mind beyond cool choreographed fights and schlocky kills. And Priyanka looking lovely, even though she's covered in blood for most of the film. It's pretty good.
I did not expect you to say that.
I went in with no expectations, which is probably for the best. But if you just want to watch a fun action film, this is perfect.
Do you like a pirate movie?
Yeah. There are little budget giveaways, which I quite enjoyed, where like all the pirates, they seem to have quite an endless army of them. They will wear like black cloth over their faces for the first half, so you can't tell that they're recycling members of the stunt team over and over again. But yeah, and the VFX at times give away its streaming, sort of standard. But yeah, it doesn't really matter because there's lots of crunchy, fun fight scenes. So yeah, good.
I'm going to watch this. Good.
Leave your brain at the door.
I fancy both Priyanka and Carl, so I'm absolutely fine with that.
Yeah, you're in luck.
I'm trying to think of the last time. Sorry, before we move on. The Priyanka Chopra, it seems quite refreshing to have like an Indian lead. I can't think of the last time that I saw a film where that was the case.
She's been in other stuff, hasn't she? I mean,
I watched a not very good Amazon Prime spy show with her in.
Yeah.
Called...
Is that really expensive one with the guy?
Yes. This is the one where they planned international spin-offs of it. So there was like the original one was the American one with her and the guy from Game of Thrones in it. and then they made a French one at the same time, and there were going to be a Japanese one and a Italian one or whatever, and then
no one cared.
No one watched it. So they immediately cancelled all these plans, but they'd already shot. Maybe the Italian one they'd already shot, so they stuck that out. But that was the end of that. Whoopsie. But anyway, she was quite good in that, and good in the fight scenes and stuff. So she's got a bit of experience doing it. But yes, film wise, I suppose that there's probably a whole bunch of Bollywood action films with.
She was a big
lady
big deal
leads
before she married whatever Jonas it was.
Jonas.
Okay, I watched Manhunter. I watched it because there's a dearth of Stephen Lang movies on streaming services. Plus, there's a link here to Brazil because King Christ is in this too. And this is Michael Mann, 1986. I love watching Michael Mann's career, watching him hone his craft, building up to Heat, which is clearly the high point. But yeah, this was made in 1986, soon after Miami Vice, and it's absurdly aestheticized, stylized, what one might say, dated, one might also say, in terms of its style. It's based on Thomas Harris's novel Red Dragon. It's a procedural, psychological serial killer thriller. It focuses on Will Graham, played by William Peterson, a quasi-retired FBI agent who's drawn back into the game to catch a lunar killer by the name of the Tooth Fairy, played very menacingly by Tom Noonan. And the next full moon is approaching, so Will has to leave his family and go on the road and enter the mind of the killer to understand them and eventually catch them. So Michael Mann wrote this as well. His characters aren't really recognizable as humans. They're more like philosophers as much as they are investigators. They're also really well resourced, these FBI agents. They just literally just have a private jet on standby to take them anywhere. And the entire police force will just descend on a location on the off chance the killer might be there. So yeah, it's a very silly film, but takes itself very seriously. And I think I feel like it's my favourite Hannibal movie. Maybe Silence of the Lambs is better, but I more often return to this one. I thought Red Dragon was competent enough, but it didn't quite have the kind of dream-like magic of this film. It didn't have the texture.
It's a bit bland.
It doesn't have that soft atmospheric synth and the dreamy editing and the muted neon style. And then there was Hannibal, of course, the Ridley Scott one, which was fun but kind of pantomime-y. And I like Brian Cox as Lecter. He feels like more of a believable monster than Hopkins' version. And there's a stark contrast between the dark dungeon of Silence of the Lambs and the bleached white of Brian Cox's cell in this. Like in Silence of the Lambs, the dungeon is like this hostile place full of wailing horrors, like some Victorian asylum or something. But then in Manhunter, it's almost like this place is like a sanctuary for Will Graham. Like it even has this ambient new age music. Yeah. So back to how dated the movie is, though. Some of the needle drops in this film are ridiculous. I thought there's some effective use of, because he goes, it's almost entirely a soundtrack. I don't know whether there is a score or not, but it's mostly contemporary music. So there's some effective use of Shriekback. I think they're an Aussie band, and they kind of do dark synth, and that style works pretty well. But then you've got the end sequence where it kicks in with Iron Butterfly's In-A-Gadda Vida, which is just preposterous. And it just seems to be there purely to accommodate a totally rad shot where Will Graham just launched himself through the front window of the killer's house to stop him from killing Joan Allen. And then instantly knocks himself out, of course. Anyway, seeing it before, it was always the style and the kills that got me. But nowadays, I'm a bit more affected by the way that Will is drawn into the darkness, away from the light of his family, and that was more affecting this time. It's the most 80s family you've ever seen, by the way. They all wear pastel clothes and tiny shorts, and both parents have voluminous hair. And yeah, I suppose when I think of Michael Mann, I think he's kind of fascinated by masculinity, and I think this is why he focuses so heavily on like Will's obsession with his work, this overwhelming need to succeed and to treat work as a competition, and it's a theme obviously you really come to see in fruition in Heat. But you can also see it in films like Last of the Mohicans as well, like real men's men, like super skilled dudes with a sense of duty above everything else, while the poor women all around them are left to pick up the pieces. So it's a cool movie, and I'm sure I'll continue going back to it. I do like William Peterson. He was criticised at the time for not having like lead actor chops, but I think he does well.
Oh, was he in To Live and Die in LA as well?
Of course he was.
Yeah, I
Best film of the 80s.
I think he's good. I think I can imagine he was criticised not having lead actor chops because he wasn't over the top. He was kind of, so a lot of the stuff he did was sort of internalized. Like looking at this, if you talking about like the music and everything, if you just go on the Wikipedia page and look at the poster for this is fantastic.
So
and it's just that would make, if I saw that, it would make me want to watch it because it's so simple and subtle and stylized. But yeah, I remember there was a scene in this film where I don't know if it's after like a love scene with his wife forever, and he's just like, it's filmed upside down and it's just cast in blue.
Yes, yeah,
and
so nice.
Yeah, this film to me, you know. A lot of my problem with like synth music and people who sort of look back at the 80s as this sort of halcyon time, it's kind of misremembered. But this film is sort of a relic in that it is like that. It is that stylized. It is that 80s and that makes it this wonderful little time capsule. So no, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I really miss
sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, like, there's bits in this film. But I feel like films they're not this well, they don't cultivate moments like this so well as they do in films like Manhunter, where he goes out in the garden and he kind of climbs up the tree and he's talking to himself and he's recounting how the guy did it, and there's sort of music builds and it's like a revelatory sort of moment, and you're in the headspace of the detective, and it's corny, but it works so well that
cinematically it works.
It's a shame that I feel like directors pull away from that stuff now, where they think that's too on the nose, and that's what the 80s did unapologetically so well, which is
exactly because the thing is, of course, it's very internalized, isn't it? What's happening to him, because he's quite deliberately just on his own, like retreating into his mind, try and get into the mind of this serial killer. The only way really to convey it is you either have a fucking voiceover, or you have these kind of like ridiculous scenes where he's sat there on his own, just talking out loud and saying, "You wanted to do that, didn't you? You watched them in the mirrors, didn't you? You piece of shit." And then you have this like music soaring in the background, and it works to move the story forward.
I think that's the thing. It kind of reminds me, in a way, like an internalized Die Hard, where what makes Die Hard so fun and so timeless is his kind of vulnerability. Like, he doesn't want to be there, and he just has to deal with the hand he's been dealt. And with this, William Peterson is like happy with his family, and he gets dragged into it. He doesn't want to be dragged into it, but then because of who he is, he sort of he throws himself into it, and it's that sort of internal struggle. Yeah, it's just a man dealing with a situation he doesn't want to be in, but feels because of who he is, and it's fully realized that he kind of has to deal with it. It's like something. This is what I do. I have to do this. I don't want to. Yeah. So I think it'd be a great double bill with Die Hard.
Internalized Die Hard.
Yeah, Die Hard inside.
Die Hard in my mind.
Is it me now?
It is.
I'm gonna quickly nail out 3 in 4 seconds. I watched Jackie Chan in Police Story 3 Super Cop, which I really enjoyed. It's just Jackie Chan, 90s stuff, perfectly fine. I watched all of Da Vinci Code, and it's a film that gets the more boring the longer you watch it.
I like how You qualified your success there by saying you actually watched the whole film.
Yeah, well, I just remember, like about 10 episodes ago, I watched this in a caravan holiday, and I said to Faye, "We can't watch this because it's a long film, and there's adverts. This will be about 6 hours," and we sat down to watch it, and I kind of enjoyed it to a point, and then it's like the film ends, and then it just has to have this sort of denouement, and it's like, "Come on now, end." And yeah, I thought, yeah, okay, you worry me out now. So definitely the first hour is the best, and the other thing is Playmobil, the movie. My son loves Playmobil. I was very proud of myself because the other day I was sitting there playing with him, and he said, "Oh, Daddy, what's this?" And he held up. I don't know which one of his Playmobil sets it was. It came with a turban, and he said, "Why do people wear toilet roll on their head?" And I said, "It's not toilet roll, buddy. It's called a turban." And he said, "Oh, what's a turban?" And I said, "Oh, well, I have to be delicate with this tonight." So I grabbed him by the cheeks and I said, "Look, they come over here, right?" And I was thinking, how can I explain what a turban is without getting into like a deep theological debate with a 4-year-old boy? And I realized that I say, well, you know how your like winky is private, no one should see or touch it. Your bum is private, no one should see or touch it. And he said, yes. I said, well, some people believe that their hair is private and no one should see it or touch it. So that's why certain people wear like head coverings and stuff. And he was like, oh, okay. And then he just carried on playing. And I thought, whew, that felt like a bullet dodged because I felt like that could have got really complicated there. Unfortunately, Playmobil the movie didn't have quite as much of an impact on me. I've watched Minecraft the movie twice. I've watched multiple Lego TV shows and games and movies, and I'm over the moon with them. Totally good fun. Playmobil the movie is just incredibly boring. It's I thought at the start, oh, this is the girl from the Minecraft movie, but it's Anya Taylor-Joy, who just looks a bit like the person from the other movie. And they get sucked into the Playmobil world, and it's just them going through different Playmobil sets, but with nothing that kind of links them together and makes them fun. So, can you still hear me? Sorry.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So there was one bit that made me laugh where they're driving down a straight road, and like each turnoff is a new world kind of thing. And I thought, oh, this will get fun, where they've got like a dinosaur world, lava world, blah, blah, Viking world stuff. But no, they just kind of mention it, and then it's just loads of really cheap, easy jokes. And after about an hour, we were all tired, and I and my son went to bed. And then the next day I said to him, oh, did you like the Playmobil movie, buddy? And he said, yeah, it was okay. I said, do you want to watch the rest of it tonight after school? No. And I thought, good, because I was not enjoying it. It's a proper 1 out of 5. Like, it just felt like nothing. So, yeah, don't watch Playmobil the movie, basically.
Okay, the bullet dodged.
It wasn't a great risk of that happening.
No.
Yeah.
Now,
it just isn't. I don't know. You know, like He-Man and the Master of the Universe was based on a toy line, but it's like, it did its own thing, turned into a serviceable franchise. This just feels like they're showing you the toys they have for sale, but with no like linking story. They just turn up on the screen. You're like, okay. Yeah.
Stop just short of putting a QR code whenever each item turns up on screen so you can buy it direct.
But tellingly, even though my son owns lots of Playmobil and does use it, like does play with it, it didn't even make him want to play with it. I noticed over the following days he didn't like ask for it, and I thought, well, that's pretty bad. If you can't even sell him the things he has,
yeah, that's pretty damning.
So yeah, and I thought, I don't even care how that ends. I don't care about that. So yeah, that's me done. So it's over to Lazlo.
Okay, I will talk about Eternity. It's a bit of a change of pace. This is a romantic comedy, sci-fi, existential drama film, starring Miles Teller, Elizabeth Olsen, and Callum Turner. Not my usual go-to genre, but I quite enjoyed this. So Teller and Olsen, the basic premise is Teller and Olsen start as an elderly couple, played by different actors, who die in close succession to each other. And then they find themselves in a sort of purgatory hotel complex in the afterlife, which is basically a holding pattern for dead people to then select their eternity. So it's kind of like a huge holiday resort in a way, and then your eternities are flogged to them as kind of like package holidays. So you can spend eternity in beach world or whatever, where you every day you will live on the beach and by the sea, and if that's what you want, or you can live in eternity of ski world, where you're just skiing every day for the rest of your life and live in a wooden cabin. And the idea is that you go with your elected person or people that you want to spend eternity with. So and you also look like your peak age. So whilst they died as elderly people, they now look like Miles Teller and Elizabeth Olsen. And Miles Teller dies first, so he's waiting for Elizabeth Olsen to turn up, and because he knows she's ill. And then when she turns up, he expects her to come with him to his reality. But waiting in this holding hotel is her ex-husband, who died when she was very young, who was like a war hero and died in the war. So she's always been pining for this guy who died when she was young, and she's settled down with Miles Teller. So now she's placed with a conundrum about, do I want to spend eternity with a guy I've just spent 65 years of my life with already, and we're kind of pissing each other off, or the dashing, young, dream, handsome guy that I'd never got a chance to spend my life with. So it's kind of an interesting concept in that regard. The setup to enable this to happen is riddled with logic holes. I mean, it's a good film for watching and discussing whilst you're watching and after you've watched it, because there's so many aspects of it that don't hang together and you pick apart, but it's fun to kind of dissect. And it's a good setup for comedy, and it's kind of absurd, the scenario, but the first half is comedy, and then it gets a little bit bogged down in the sort of romantic side of things, and it gets a little bit overwrought and melodramatic, I thought, towards the end, as it strives to say something profound about this scenario, but it's not able to, because it's so intangible in the first place. It's really just boils down to a question of like, do you regret your life decisions, and would the grass be greener on the other side if you'd made different decisions in your life, really, in a new package. But I give it kudos for being novel, and and it's quite charming and well directed, and it's a clever kind of idea. So yeah, nice, enjoyed it, worth a watch if that appeals to you.
It does.
Well, if you've got Apple TV, you can watch it without paying any money. It sounds like you don't have Apple TV.
If you looked at the poster to this film, I reckon you wouldn't have watched it, Lazlo, because the poster is dreadful. It doesn't. What you just said didn't. I was listening to what you said, and I thought, oh wow, okay. And then I looked at the poster and thought, this looks like Multiplicity. I don't know.
Yeah, that is a misleading poster. Yeah, I saw a trailer for it and I thought that looks kind of like fun, interesting, and I fancy Elizabeth Olsen. And Callum Turner, I heard was rumored to be the next Bond, so I was curious about him.
Callum Turner, I'd heard that I'd fancied.
Yeah,
he's very Miles Teller I fancy. I somehow I still haven't seen Whiplash, which is almost like that's gonna, when I die, that's really gonna count against me. Yeah. So I need to watch that.
Whiplash is up there with one of my favourite films, so definitely worth a watch. I would call it a near perfect film, not to say that it's better than every other film ever made, but just in intent and execution, I couldn't improve on it, I don't think. I had no notes. I have notes on Eternity, that's for sure. But
Notes on Eternity.
That's an Eternity. Bloody hell, that sounds like a romantic drama.
That could be. Is that the new episode title? What's happening? I mean, you just throw that out the end of side. Notes on Eternity. What am I supposed to do here? It's going to be a double. It's going to be a double one, isn't it? Okay. Jesus
Just
Christ!
mash them all
They're
together.
quite related, aren't they? The Endless Sigh and Notes on Eternity.
God, that's fantastic. I'm gonna have to email Sade these lyrics in a minute.
Isn't that a Jim Carrey film, The Endless Sigh and Notes on Eternity or something? No.
Was it something? Notes on a spotless,
sunshine of a
spotless
Eternal
mind.
Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
Yeah, that's shit. That's not like ours though. Rupert, do you want to squeeze in a final one?
I'm all done now.
You're done.
So I'm going to go to bed.
Okay.
So maybe we can. It's going to take us a while to go through the arc and stuff today. So it's because it's so difficult.
Yes. So there was the previous Arkansas. I forget who it was. It was it
something ridiculous?
It was Daniel Craig to Dan Davis.
No,
Wayne.
The Rod Steiger
to.
I had messages of people saying, "Who's Rod Steiger?" I'm not going to lie to you.
To the episode, then, shouldn't they?
Yeah. But this one is easier. It's Johnny Depp to Jason Momoa.
Yes, it is.
So what did you both have then?
Considerably easier.
Johnny Depp was in the Rum Diary with Amber Heard, who was an Aquaman with Jason Momoa.
And I have the exact same.
There's a few that Max said, who has a book available right now, be called The Best Thing Till Sliced Bread, available on Amazon in hardback, Kindle, and softback editions, and bubble editions, a book made of bubbles. Max said Depp is in Murder on the Orient Express with Willem Dafoe, who's also Craggy in Aquaman with Momoa. There's another two-stepper involving Ezra Miller being in Fantastic Beasts, but I had to cheat to check that one. Ed 8 inches on the flop said it's got to be Aquaman with Amber Heard, who's in the Rum Diary with Johnny Depp. And Dave Chod says Jason Momoa is in Fast X with Brie Larson, who's in 21 Jump Street with an uncredited Johnny Depp. He said, I'm guessing uncredited doesn't count, but I want to offer something other than the Aquaman route. So yeah, it does. It does count.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of
wins with that one.
There's a lot of two-steppers. So are we keeping? So it's 1-0 to the audience, isn't it? No, it's 1-0 to the audience. I'm going to keep track of this.
Okay.
Changed my mind. It's a draw.
I've changed my mind. It's a wardrobe. It's so yeah. That's so well done, Dave Chod. You've won. We've decided. The rules are pretty fast and loose. I'm not going to lie to you. What is the next Arkansas? I feel like maybe a bit more of a challenge.
Yeah, I agree.
Have we done Kurt Russell before?
I want to do him, so it's fine. Kurt Russell to Charles Grodin. Because you've got like Real Men, you've got Beethoven with Bonnie Hunt and Oliver Platt.
Midnight Run, was he in that?
Yeah, he's in Midnight Run as well.
Yeah.
With I think Robert De Niro.
Charles Grodin is not that is up there with Rod Steiger, surely.
No, come on. He was mentioned. Yeah, we always throw in if you meant with Robert De Niro, Charles Grodin with Midnight Run. He was in Beethoven, which also had Oliver Platt, Stanley Tucci.
He's in Beethoven with a dog. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what the dog was in. Bonnie Hunt though, 29 and 56th. My God.
Have we got what about
the dog actor was actually called Cujo as well, by the way.
Was that the same one?
Oh really?
Yeah. No, as in it was called Cujo presumably after the dog in Cujo.
Oh, so the Beethoven was called Cujo, like the actor dog. Oh, with you. Okay, I thought you meant he played Cujo. Yeah, because that was 80s, wasn't it, Cujo?
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I've never seen it. I should watch that.
Yeah. Fancy Dee Wallace as well.
Careful now. You didn't mention Barbara Crampton.
What? I didn't mention Barbara Crampton, but then she goes without saying.
I fancy her as well. The most beautiful woman that's ever lived. For movies of the week, mine I had Return to Silent Hill, Beethoven, Stage Fright, Police Story 3, Super Cop, Da Vinci Code, and Playmobil the movie. Mine is going to be... Do you know what? I'm going to give a double of this week. I'm going to say for family fun, Beethoven, and for grown-up fun, Stage Fright. They were both good fun.
I watched some good movies this week. Brazil, Tombstone, Manhunter. I think Manhunter surprised me the most by how well it holds up, so I'm going to go with Manhunter.
I think I'll probably go Tombstone because I think it was ultimately the one that I enjoyed the most, and I think everyone enjoys.
Yep.
Am I right in thinking, Rupert? This again, I really cast my mind back here. With Manhunter, there's a scene where he leaves Brian Cox and he goes outside, and the stairs are set up in such a way that it makes out that like life itself is a puzzle. There's like a synth score as he leaves him, and it's this really weird Escher-esque stair traversal sequence.
Yeah, well, it's more like a ramp, and it's quite a cool shot because he's desperate to get out of there because he can barely breathe because he's so freaking out, and it's like it's got kind of a long shot of a ramp that goes like side to side. So he's running towards the edge of the frame, but then he has to turn and come back, and he runs towards the other edge of the frame, turn and come back, and it's like it's just a cool little visual thing where he's just trapped. Because Michael Mann knows what he's doing.
Yeah, that's the films we need again, isn't it? That's what you want. So we now come to Max Hilarity's joke of the week. Bearing in mind he's got a pun book out, so this the best thing till sliced bread. 900 of these, and let this pun be a reflection of the overall quality of the book. Let it. Told my wife.
No, never mind. Go on.
Told my wife I'd given her a forehead tattoo of Skywalker while she slept. You should have seen the look on her face. And as always, we end the podcast with a little bit of ASMR to help all those out there in Dreamland. You've laughed, haven't you? You've laughed along with us. You've cried along with us. You've wanked along with us. And now it's time to settle down as we talk about discontinued British chocolate bars. Nestle Caramac, discontinued in 2023. After 64 years, the non-chocolate caramel bar was axed due to declining sales. The Nestle Breakaway, which was discontinued in 2024, which was pulled after 54 years in production. The Nestle Animal Bar, discontinued in 2023, which was a milk chocolate bar featuring animal shapes, often found in multi-packs in bargain bins. The Yorkie Biscuit, discontinued in 2024. The biscuit-filled version of the classic Yorkie was scrapped alongside Breakaway. The Milky Way Crispy Rolls, discontinued in 2022. Light biscuit-filled rolls that were highly popular before their sudden withdrawal. The Mars Topic, discontinued in 2021. A hazelnut nugget bar that was quietly phased out. The Mars Delight, discontinued in 2008. A lighter version of the Mars bar with a wafer and more aerated chocolate. The Cadbury Spira, personal favourite of mine, discontinued in 2005. 2 hollow twisted chocolate spirals. It is frequently cited as one of the most missed bars. The Cadbury's Fuse, discontinued in 2006. A chunky bar containing nuts, raisins, cereal, and fudge. The Cadbury's Timeout, discontinued in 2016. The original twin finger wafer bar was replaced by the single Timeout wafer. The Nestle Drifter, discontinued in 2018, a chewy wafer and caramel bar that had been a staple since 1980 in the UK. Cadbury Snaps, discontinued in 2010, which was a Pringles-shaped chocolate discs available in flavours such as mint and orange. The Cadbury Snowflake, discontinued in 2008, which was crumbly white chocolate in a milk chocolate shell. The Cadbury's Dream, discontinued in 2008, which was a white chocolate bar that remains available in international markets such as Australia. And finally, the 1980s and 1990s retro favorites. The Roundtree Secret, discontinued in 1994, which was a delicate nest of chocolate strands with a creamy mousse center. Fry's 5 Centers, discontinued in 1992, which is a chocolate bar with 5 different fruit fondants: raspberry, coffee, lime, blackcurrant, and orange. And of course, coffee isn't a fruit. Roundtree's Cabana, discontinued in the 1990s, a tropical bar with coconut, cherry, and caramel. Dairy's Pyramid, discontinued in the 1990s, a pyramid dark chocolate filled with mint fondant. The Nestle Texan, discontinued in the 1980s, a mighty chew of nugget and toffee. It saw a brief limited return in 2005. The Banjo, discontinued in the 1980s, is a twin finger wafer bar that came out in coconut or roast nut varieties. The Cadbury's Bar 6, which was discontinued in the 1980s, a popular 1970s bar featuring 6 chocolate-covered wafer fingers. And finally, the Macintosh's Golden Cup, which was discontinued in the 1980s. Milk chocolate with a soft toffee center, produced by Macintosh before the Nestle takeover.